This is using Google Tag Manager like a boss. We're going to be discussing Google Tag Manager because it is wildly powerful. We don't think enough people are using it to track all of the amazing things that you possibly can on your website and finally make it easy. Some of the top line, we're going to be talking about what is it, and how it works, and then we're going to go through 5 simple implementations that we think most nonprofits should be using. What is Google Tag Manager? Google Tag Manager is a great addition to Google Analytics. It's not instead of, it's an addition to. So Tag Manager actually simplifies how code is deployed across your entire site and allows you to easily add very specific triggers and events inside of your website. Let me give you a metaphor. Do you know your air conditioning unit? Like, you have that little air conditioner, it's maybe a little bit old, it's in the kitchen, you have one in the living room, and you have to run around and turn one off and turn one on. That's kind of like just Google Analytics out of the box. If you want to set up specific events, you have to go into the code, put the air conditioner in, make sure it's cooling the room, turn it off and on. Now, Google Tag Manager is like central air conditioning. Follow me here. Central air conditioning allows you to have this one central spot where a massive air conditioner lives, like outside of your house, and then it pipes it into every single room, allowing you to control very easily with one controller the temperature in any given room. It's a lot better, it's a huge upgrade, and again, you don't have to bother your developer when you're like, oh, I want to add an extra little bit of code to this page, because there's one central location that Google Tag Manager lets you manage this from. How does Google Tag Manager work? Well, it's pretty similar to Google Analytics. It's based on JavaScript. You put a little bit of code on every single page of your site, and then you get this nice, simple online interface to adjust all of the events and tags that you want to create on your site to track more advanced things. So again, it's installed one time across your entire site, and then you're done bothering the developer, for the most part. There are three different types of things inside of Google Tag Manager to break down, these main terms that they use. A tag. So a tag is kind of like a bucket. It's a container that allows you to say, all right, I want to do something like track an event. So when somebody clicks on a different type of button, I want this to happen in this container. The next thing is a trigger. So you have the container, but Tag Manager doesn't know when or where to actually set that event to happen. So the trigger allows you to target, let's say I want it on only the home page or only the donate page. It allows you to pick exact even times when this is going to fire as the trigger for when it happens. Finally, you have variables. Variables are just a handy little unit of saying, okay, some event happened on the website, we need to save it and then store it back, or set some value inside that variable for when I'm creating a more sophisticated event. Let's talk about the 5 common ways that we'd like to see Google Tag Manager actually implemented. So the first thing here is using Google Analytics now inside of Tag Manager. When we're talking about Google Analytics tracking and these terms being able to be sent into Google Analytics, you're going to be able to, once you're logging into the Google Analytics account, be able to see the visits and outbound clicks there. And so when I look at events inside of the live behavior and overview, I'm getting things like visit, outbound clicks, downloads, YouTube, scroll depth. All of these things are custom created inside of the Google Tag Manager account. Inside of the Tag Manager account, we're going to talk through these elements. There's 2 types of tags when you're doing these advanced tags, and you're listening for an event, say when somebody clicks on a button, and then you're categorizing and sending that event. You're sending that event to the Google Analytics account so that you can actually see it when, say, somebody clicks on an outbound link and goes off and does that. So setting up a time on site event, we're going to walk through right now. To log into Tag Manager, we're going to sign in and then click Tag Manager and then find your account. I've already logged in to the Whole Whale account. And in this case, we're going to look at the timers. And we have 2. One is a listener, and then one is the actual sending of the event. Those 2 types of tags that we need. I'll zoom in to help you out a little bit. So inside of the timer, we created this new tag. And what you're getting is first this listener, the listening event that happens at first. And I'm going to do show more to show you, an event listener. And this is just kind of, again, keeping an ear out on the site for a certain type of action. That action is a timer. So we're going to choose, under the tag type, choose a timer listener. And then we set the time amount it wants to listen. And what this is going to be doing is listening for some sort of engagement, seeing if there's still an active user after about 15 seconds. And this is measured in milliseconds. So you can set this for as long as you want. So let's say you thought 15 seconds was a bit short. You could make it 30 seconds and change it in the number of milliseconds here. Firing on all pages, so we're saying where the trigger is, and then that's set. Remember to save it. So that's part one of the 15-second timer. So that's listening for it, but it's not going to send the event to the analytics account. To do that, we have to get to this and then choose inside of event, and we're sending to Google Analytics. You scroll down. The tag type is Universal Analytics, and we're setting this to actually send the information. So we're categorizing it. We're categorizing it as an event, and the action's 15 seconds, and we're going to be saving the label as URL path. So this is an important one to remember here, and we're firing it on the trigger is when we hear the event that 15 seconds happens. So 15 seconds goes by, somebody's still active on, say, the home page, and it's going to fire, and this then shows up for the certain amount of visit category of amount of time. So somebody's actually spent a certain amount of time, and it's labeled there depending on what we label it as. So if I category as visit and the action 15 seconds, that actually shows up inside of the visit and action when I go into it. So I clicked on visit and I click on action, and now we're going to see how it says 15 seconds, and that's what I labeled so I can tell when that event occurs. Next up, outbound link and download event. Again, this will show inside of Google Analytics, going back to my top events, once we set it up properly. So I'm going to go back into my main account here, go into my tags, and now we have two things here. We're going to have a click listener listening for the click event, and then we're actually going to be sending that event for outbound clicks to Google Analytics. So let's first look at the listener event. We created this listener event, and we go in here. Again, you remember how we selected this before. We're listening for a particular event. And then down here, we click on the link click listener. Don't say that 3 times fast. Right? Well, you can if you'd like. And then we configure the tag for the max time to wait. We set it at a very small amount, a couple seconds, to make sure that we actually have heard the event and it's not a misfire. And in this case, we're going to fire it on all pages again. So that's the trigger. Listen on every single page. It's not necessarily sending in information yet, but it is listening to every single page of your website. So you click that, save that. Next, you're going to go and say the outbound clicks. So we have listened for it, but we're not sending information to Google yet. We choose our product, which is Google Analytics. We have to make sure our tag type is Universal Analytics because we're sending information to Google. The tracker type is event. Of course, our ID is always in there. Outbound link clicks is the category. And now here's where it gets maybe a little tricky. We're going to pass in the element URL and URL path so we can see what the outbound click was. So, let's say we're on Whole Whale and then we click away to go to a Fast Company article. Well, we're going to get that information inside of our analytics event to tell exactly what people clicked on. It's going to manifest in our behavior, top events. I'm going to click outbound links. And when I dive into this, you see these event actions. All right, so you can see that Whole Whale is currently sending a bunch of traffic to givingtuesday.org/join. You're welcome, guys. So this is a little bit more tricky, but I like to put it in here. And this is the case where maybe you have a long scrolling site and you just have people scrolling up and down for a very long time. This is an example of a custom tag where we're going to go and have scroll tracking tag and scroll tracking events. So first, we have a lot of custom HTML here. This custom HTML is something that we can link to on our site, and you can get this custom tag that you put in, fire it on custom scroll event. So we go back, and we'll have a walkthrough of this, but again, you're creating the tag that has the code in it, and then you're going to label and send the information, the scroll event, to Google whenever somebody scrolls past a certain depth, passing in all of these things automatically based on the action label and value that come from that custom bit of code, and it fires on whenever that equal scroll depth occurs. So you scroll 50% of the way down, you get that information. This is what it looks like, which I think will help you understand it. Again, not for everybody. This is a bit more of a manic one to have, but for particular people who have long scrolling parallax sites, this is of great value because you get the percentage of the page that somebody has actually scrolled down. You know, how many people have gone halfway, all the way, or all the way to the bottom, and you get to tell. And this is helpful in those cases. Okay, next up, AdWords newsletter sign up tag. So this is custom script that you're going to end up getting from your AdWords account potentially. And what we're going to be creating is an AdWords tag. So we've only been creating like custom and other types of these tags so far. And in this one, I'll walk through it from the base. I'm going to choose AdWords. AdWords conversion, not remarketing, AdWords conversion. And then I'm going to get this conversion ID from my actual AdWords account and then be able to set the custom values for it. And then when it comes to fire on, you know, it's conversion ID, I'll put in a fake number. Right, again, you need continue. I want this on all pages. Actually, I'm not going to want this on all pages. I only want it on some of the pages. And in particular, I only want it on pages that potentially have the page URL matches regex of, let's say, buy thank you, right? Somebody goes to my buy thank you page and then I get that information. So I'll cancel that. I don't actually want to create this tag. So that's a case where we want the trigger to actually be on certain particular pages for our AdWords purchasing. I'm gonna go back, discard changes because I don't want to save anything. And don't forget, for all of these things that you've created, even though it shows here, until you hit published here and publish now, you're not actually going to push things live onto your site. Okay, I hope that helps. One quick additional hack is, let's say you create an event and you wonder if it's actually working. You can always go to real-time overview and see what's actually firing right now with regard to events. And so this is the Whole Whale site, and you can see that here are things that we have set up, and they're actively working on the wholewhale.com site. Use Google Tag Manager because America. It also makes lives easier. It lets you track things more effectively. We talked about just some of the tip of the iceberg on things you can track with Tag Manager. We're going to have all of these resources available at wholewhale.com/Google Tag Manager. So you can walk through these steps a lot, at your pace. And finally, subscribe. You can always subscribe because it's good and good for you, or watch another video. Videos are also good, nutritious, and healthy for you, especially this one. This one is my favorite, absolute favorite.